He went on to attend the University of Washington, where he studied psychology. But while seemed to have a bright future ahead of him, something sinister was brewing beneath the surface. Welcome to the dark and twisted world of Ted Bundy, one of the most notorious serial killers in American history. Bundy's gruesome crimes captured the nation's attention in the 1970s and continue to fascinate true crime enthusiasts today. But who was Ted Bundy, and what drove him to commit such heinous acts? In this video, we'll take a deep dive into Bundy's life, his crimes, and his eventual capture and execution. Ted Bundy's childhood was marked by a number of factors that may have contributed to his later violent behavior. Bundy was born Theodore Robert Cowell in Burlington, Vermont in 1946 to an unwed mother, Louise Cowell. Louise was sent away to a home for unwed mothers to have her son, and Bundy never knew his biological father. After Bundy's birth, Louise moved with her son to Tacoma, Washington, where she married Johnny Bundy, a military cook. Johnny Bundy formally adopted Ted and gave him his surname. However, Bundy later claimed that Johnny Bundy was not his biological father and that his mother had lied about his parentage. Growing up, Bundy was a shy and introverted child who had trouble making friends. He was a good student, however, and excelled in academics. According to Bundy, his family life was troubled, and he often felt like an outsider in his own home. He later claimed that his grandfather was abusive towards him and that his mother was emotionally distant. There were also early signs of Bundy's violent tendencies. As a child, he was fascinated by knives and even stole a knife from a store when he was just 3 years old. He also exhibited an interest in violence and death, reportedly mutilating the corpses of dead animals as a teenager. Despite these troubling signs, Bundy was able to graduate from high school and attend college. However, his violent behavior would eventually catch up with him and lead to a string of gruesome murders that would make him one of the most infamous serial killers in American history. Ted Bundy's college years were a time of significant personal and professional growth for him, but they were also marked by the early signs of his violent behavior. After graduating from high school in 1965, Bundy attended the University of Puget Sound in Tacoma, Washington. He was a good student and showed a strong aptitude for psychology. He was also a member of the campus Republican Party and was known for his good looks and charm. In 1967, Bundy transferred to the University of Washington in Seattle to study psychology. It was during this time that he began to develop an interest in politics and volunteered for a number of political campaigns. He also began to date a number of women, but many of these relationships ended abruptly and with no explanation from Bundy. Despite his good grades and extracurricular activities, there were warning signs that Bundy was becoming increasingly unstable. He had been arrested for burglary in 1966 and again in 1969, and he was also a suspect in a number of other burglaries and assaults in the Seattle area. In 1972, Bundy was accepted into law school at the University of Utah. He moved to Salt Lake City and continued to excel academically, but his behavior became increasingly erratic. He began stalking women and committing a series of murders in the area, often posing as a police officer or authority figure to lure his victims into his car. Bundy's college years were a time of both academic success and disturbing behavior. It was during this time that he began to develop the psychopathic tendencies that would ultimately lead to his downfall. Ted Bundy is believed to have murdered at least 30 young women and girls across 7 states in the 1970s. He typically targeted young, attractive women with long brown hair, often approaching them in public places and using various tactics to gain their trust. Bundy's first known murder occurred in 1974. When he attacked and killed 2 women in their sorority house at Florida State University. Over the next few years, he continued to carry out a string of murders and attacks, often traveling across state lines to avoid detection. Bundy's methods varied, but he typically lured his victims into his car under false pretenses, then drove them to a secluded location where he would sexually assault and murder them. In some cases, he would keep the bodies for a period of time, engaging in necrophilia and other depraved acts. Despite being a prime suspect in many of these murders, Bundy was able to evade capture for years thanks to his charm, intelligence, and ability to blend in with society. He would often change his appearance and use fake names, making it difficult for authorities to connect him to the crimes. Bundy's luck finally ran out in 1978, when he was arrested in Utah after being pulled over for a routine traffic stop. Police found incriminating evidence in his car, including ski masks, gloves, and handcuffs. Bundy was eventually linked to a number of murders and attacks across the country and was sentenced to death for his crimes. Even on death row, Bundy continued to deny his guilt and manipulate those around him. He maintained his innocence until the very end, when he finally confessed to a number of additional murders just hours before his execution in 1989. Outro, and there you have it, the chilling story of Ted Bundy. What can we learn from his crimes, and how can we prevent similar tragedies from happening in the future? These are tough questions with no easy answers, but by studying the past, we can work towards a safer and more just society. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more true crime content.